Ukraine's military used long-range US-supplied missiles to strike Russia's Bryansk region, according to officials in Moscow and multiple US media outlets. Senior American and Ukrainian officials confirmed that US-manufactured Army Tactical Missile System, ATACMS, were used in the overnight strike, as reported by the New York Times. Andriy Kovalenko, a member of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, said the attack struck storehouses with artillery ammunition, including North Korean ammunition for their systems. And the Russian Defense Ministry claimed that Ukraine launched US-made ATACMS missiles against Russia's Bryansk Oblast, according to the state news agency TASS. This coincides with several Ukrainian media outlets reporting that, according to undisclosed military sources, Ukraine successfully struck a Russian military facility in Karachev, Bryansk Oblast. Ukrainian officials previously reported an attack with unspecified weaponry against a Russian arsenal in Karachev overnight on November 19th, which reportedly stored artillery ammunition, including North Korean munitions, KAB-guided bombs, anti-aircraft missiles, and rocket launcher ammunition. 12 secondary explosions could be heard at around 2:30 a.m., the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces reported. Karachev residents reported explosions and detonations, including an alleged attack on a military base, as shared in local chats and reported by Russian media outlet Astra. The town lies more than 100 kilometers, 60 miles, from the Ukrainian border. ATACMS missiles have a maximum range of 300 kilometers, 190 miles. In turn, the Russian Defense Ministry claimed that its forces shot down 5 and damaged 1 ATACMS missile. Missile fragments fell on a military facility in Bryansk Oblast and started a fire but inflicted no casualties or damage, the ministry claimed. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov warned that Russia's updated nuclear doctrine assumes the potential for a nuclear response in the event of a Ukrainian strike with Western-made non-nuclear missiles. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Tuesday's attack signals that the U.S. wants escalation. The use of American ATACMS initiates a new phase of the Western war against Russia, and Russia will react accordingly, Lavrov said, without specifying what that meant. In response to a question about the possible use of ATACMS to strike Russia, Zelensky said that Ukraine has enough weapons to use.
Вибачте, без зайвих деталей. У України є далекобійні можливості, у України є далекобійні дрони свого власного виробництва. У нас тепер є довгий Нептун, і не один. І тепер у нас є ATACMS. І ми все це будемо використовувати.
Ukraine on November 19th marked 1,000 days of full-scale war with Russia. Russian forces launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022, extending their aggression beyond the occupied Donbass region in an attempt to bring the entire country under Moscow's control. For 1,000 days, the armed forces of Ukraine have been confronting the enemy on the front line, which stretches over 1,000 kilometers, Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky said. In the frozen trenches of Donetsk Oblast and in the burning steppes of Kherson Oblast under shells, hail, and anti-aircraft guns, we are fighting for the right to life, for us and our children. The milestone comes as Ukraine braces for a difficult and uncertain winter. Russia, on November 17th, launched one of its largest aerial attacks yet against Ukraine's energy grid, leaving civilians dead and injured across multiple regions. The future of U.S. military aid to Ukraine is also in question as President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office in January. Meanwhile, thousands of Russian and North Korean forces have amassed in Russia's Kursk Oblast, preparing to launch a counteroffensive against Ukrainian troops. The escalating situation in Kursk reportedly prompted U.S. President Joe Biden to grant Ukraine permission to use American long-range weapons on Russian territory. Every dark night, even if there are 1,000 of them, always ends with dawn, Syrsky said. During the day from November 18th to 19th, the Russian army lost another 1,610 soldiers. In total, Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Russian military losses amount to over 724,000 people. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. As of the evening of November 18th, approximately 135 combat clashes were recorded on the front line. The Russian forces primarily focused their efforts in the Pokrovsk and Kurakov directions. According to the Institute for the Study of War, the Russian army has advanced in several directions in the Kharkiv and Donetsk regions. Niall Ferguson, a historian, delivered a speech at the conference of the Centre for Independent Studies in Australia. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea are all now openly cooperating to support Russia's war effort in Ukraine, supplying Putin's army with a plethora of weapons, from drones to missiles to shells, and now even North Korean soldiers.
This is the key point. The new realism's most striking feature has been this recognition that the United States faces a new axis that unites Russia with China, Iran, and North Korea. Now, because it's been so overused, the parallel with the 1930s has lost much of its power. When George W. Bush referred in 2002 to Iran, Iraq, and North Korea as an axis of evil, he misled Americans, because no such thing existed. But today, and this is what Mearsheimer seems unable to see, we confront a genuine axis that can be and should be compared with the one formed by Germany, Italy, and Japan before and in the early stages of the Second World War. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea are all now openly cooperating to support Russia's war effort in Ukraine, supplying Putin's orc army. I love the fact that the Ukrainians call them the orcs, just completely naturally, oh, the orcs, with a plethora of weapons, from drones to missiles to shells, and now even North Korean soldiers.
An action dedicated to the 1,000th day of the full-scale invasion and the Ukrainian struggle for independence continues near the monument. The military chaplain held a joint prayer in honor of those who died for the freedom of Ukraine.